So I'm here with Matt Gielen, who's a creative entrepreneur in the creative economy and been involved in the creator economy a number of years, Matt.
Yeah, probably going on damn near 20 at this point. I got my start in New York in the independent film world and worked for a company there called Driver Digital, where I ran production and audience development, and then went to a company called Frederator, most known for making cartoons that are on TV, like Adventure Time and Fairly Odd Parents, and I ran their digital division for a while, and then I started my agency Little Monster, which primarily worked with traditional media companies like Netflix and MGM and dozens of others, and helping them build their YouTube audiences. And most recently, I exited a company called Electric Monster, where we acquired digital media assets, primarily YouTube channels, YouTube brands, scaled them up, and then ultimately left in December, and now I'm just getting ready to start my next venture in the space.
All right, interesting. Well, you wrote an article recently which I found really interesting, which is particularly in the context of this being the first MIPCOM that's recognised the creator economy, and even I think you could say quite fairly that a number of major media organisations have not taken the creator economy seriously up until now, and many still aren't, right? Is that fair to say, do you think?
I don't think so, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, Disney bought Maker Studios 10 years ago. Warner Brothers had investments in a number of different creator economy companies, such as Machinima and Fullscreen and many others. I would say it's more the industry at large recognizing that the growth is in the creator economy moving forward as they see linear decline. And so it's kind of the old axiom of like, first they ignore you, blah, 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 that thing, right? Where now it's just gotten too large and there's too much growth and trajectory on it to continue to ignore it. And so it's great to be a part of this at MIPCOM for the first time. And I think we're all looking forward to the future and continuing to build our businesses across the digital space.
You recently wrote an article setting out the different eras of digital video, which I thought was really interesting. So can you sort of give us a bit of a breakdown of your thoughts, because it was almost a manifesto, I felt. It was a really interesting article, but yeah, explain what you mean by how you see the different phases of digital video.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for reading and reading between the lines, because it was that in a lot of ways, and laid a lot of the groundwork and allowed me to clarify my thinking on exactly what I wanted to do next and how I wanted to approach the next business that I'm building. In terms of the eras, there's kind of like three big eras so far to date in kind of the YouTube, digital media, video creation world. And the first is kind of the same era that always happens. It's experimentation, kicking the tires and seeing what's what. Then was the rise of the MCNs, which were basically Ponzi schemes that didn't work out, as they always don't. And then the third era was kind of the rise of what we call now the creator economy. This was the rise of influencers, where businesses that did provide value to creators and digital media businesses were able to flourish and grow and provide support. And we were really figuring out, how do we make this an actual sustainable business? And I feel like we're moving into a fourth era now, an era of like professionalization and standardization and hopefully scalability, as the business models around digital media IPs and properties and creators really start to flourish. And I would say in the last 2 years is really the first time where that's been like truly possible to build beyond kind of like platform sold advertisements in a meaningful way. There have been for many, many years before, but in a meaningful and scaled way with real businesses, it's now possible as we move into this like fourth-ish era.
And so the fourth digital era means opportunity for digital studios. Are we talking about creators becoming their own digital studios more and more? I mean, obviously there are many that there are already, but how do you see these micro businesses? You talk about scalability, scaling, and how do you see them growing, and how would you define what this next era is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thesis of the article, is that studios that produce YouTube long form content are going to be the ones that really kind of dominate both our attention and the available revenue in the space. And the reason I see that is because first and foremost, YouTube is where audiences spend by far the most time in streaming. We see linear ad dollars declining, while we see CTV and streaming ad dollars increasing year over year, and that's projected to continue to grow. And so you have to think, well, where are those dollars going? And yes, a lot of them are going to places like Meta and Amazon and other outlets, but a good chunk of that is also going to YouTube, and people's time and attention is at YouTube. And so where do the dollars that go onto YouTube go? Well, they're not going to shorts, right? It's been 3-4 years now. You don't really see a massive flow of ad dollars. RPMs are still near zero in short form. And when you talk about short form, you really talk about content that is fleeting. Like it's very, very difficult, and it's definitely the exception, not the rule, that people don't build brands in short form content. It's very, very rare because you don't spend enough time as an audience with them to actually build a brand and to have any sort of consistency. And so much of the viewership is just completely algorithm driven when it's a feed based system that is very difficult, right? And then the next thing you have is AI, right? And you can polish a turd all day long, but at the end of the day, it's still a turd. And if you look at AI content, it's fucking turds, right? It's going to be a useful tool and people will use it, but the people that are screaming from the rooftops, you have to embrace it, are the people that have a significant monetary incentive for you to embrace it. And so when you start thinking about who is going to win, it's the people making long form YouTube content, because what are we watching on our TVs? It's long form content, and short form content. And I don't know anyone's going to sit through, an hour long podcast of AI slop, right? And so, with that and the support of other business lines like merchandise, live events, and syndication of content, you really start to see how these businesses are beginning to flourish. And while having one or two strong IPs and businesses that are generating revenue is great, it doesn't give you the same scale that a studio with many different IPs can give you, and what that means from a talent hiring perspective. And I don't just mean on-screen talent, I also mean back office talent, people who know how to rapidly layer in additional business lines to these IPs, to develop new IPs, et cetera. And so that's kind of the 1 minute rapid fire reason why I think digital media studios will really become kind of the dominant form of entertainment in the digital media and entertainment space in the coming 5 to 10 years.
So coming back to what you said about short form and IP and building brands through short form. Now we've seen obviously microdrama, a lot of quite significant announcements I think over the last week or so. First of those is Night Train Digital and Spirit Studios in the UK going into business together to create you could probably call it premium drama. So it's not the sort of drama, short drama that you might see on Real Shorts or some of those other
it's premium
types of content.
They use the word premium.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be great.
Yeah. But and then we've also seen Holy Water, Fox Entertainment investing into Holy Water as well. So where do you see the vertical video space going next?
Vertical video space or short form mini dramas? Because I think those are different things, right? There is long form vertical video, there's short form vertical video, there's feed based short form vertical video. There's a lot of ways to carve it up, and I think what the short form places like Drama Box and the other ones, or whatever it's called, have found is a untapped lane where there's still a bit of a moat on the production side and a lack of revenue on the distribution side, where they've found this little gap to shoot through where they can monetize it and monetize it well. But I also think that when it comes to short form content like that, there will be groups that are able to produce similar, if not more premium content at scale in the same way that these other players that you mentioned are getting into it, or at the very least, it'll have the same value to the audience, and they'll be able to figure out a business model that is workable on one of these platforms that reaches 1 billion plus people, as opposed to the smaller pay-for platforms that these companies have created that doesn't have that same reach. And when audiences say, well, I'm getting the same or similar value out of the content on this platform that I'm already on that has all this other stuff that I also like, why am I paying you money to do it? Right, and it'll be the same exact thing that you're seeing happen in traditional versus digital now. And the apps don't have the same runway, scale, or time existing that TV and film has had, and so they won't have a moat, and I don't see it as a long-term play.
So you're saying that vertical drama, for example, will naturally more move towards social platforms. Is that what you're saying?
1,000%. 1,000%.
It's willingness to pay, isn't it? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why would I pay for it? And there will be people that figure out, if they haven't already, and I think they have, you look at like an Alan Chicken Chow, for example, how to make this content on an ad-supported platform, whether that's through sponsorship, whether it's leveraging that audience into their longer form. It says, to me, it's like, well, why am I gonna give you this content for a production budget and some margin, right? Which is, it's teeny tiny, right? Versus just own it and keep it on my own platform. And I don't know all the business models, but to me, it feels like fleeting.
So following up with Fox investing in Holy Water, do you expect to see a lot more traditional media companies acquiring digital studios and building their own studio networks of digital first companies?
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if they didn't. The traditional Hollywood studios, many of them got burnt on their early investments in the space.
Vice Media is obviously a really good example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that one kind of like was a straddled the fence in a lot of ways, right? And had a whole raft of other issues. But I think where we're at now is that the creator economy, digital media has matured with real business models, and people understand how that revenue actually flows and how it works. And there's much better diligence and ability to understand where the revenue comes from and how it flows. I don't know if there's a ton of digital media studios or companies out there that are of the scale that is meaningful to traditionals currently, but I think we are getting there closely. And I also think it means that there's an opportunity for people like me to pull these amazing IPs and creators together and provide them a platform to really grow their businesses to their full potential. And potentially something like that becomes interesting to a traditional media studio looking for something in the digital space that is of a scale that is interesting to them.
Yeah. Well, and finally, what's next for you then? You've exited a couple of businesses and been very successul to date. Where you're obviously skating to where the puck's heading now with your new business. What? Yeah. Well. What is that? Can you give us a bit of a clue on what you're going to be basing your next few years on focusing on?
Well, I mean, I think there's a ton of really great companies in the digital space that would love to work with, and starting to have some really great conversations, and hopefully it leads to something great. Ultimately, I'd love to make a digital studio that all future digital studios are based upon, and so that means best in class, and that's kind of what I'm looking to do moving forward. So more to come on that.
Is that acquisition? Are you looking to acquire a digital studio?
I don't know if there are digital studios out there that are of the scale of what I want to build, but there's certainly lots of digital media companies
that you could roll up together and maybe make that mega studio.
I don't like the term roll up, but certainly there's a lot of people that I'd love to find a way to work together.
Well, Matt, thank you. It's been fascinating speaking with you. Thanks for coming on TellyCast, and best of luck with the market, and look forward to chatting with you again at some point.
Thank you for having me.